Hi there. In this video, we're going to have a look at setting up a dev environment so that you can run Node, for modern web development. Right, so let's get started. What I use is Windows Subsystem for Linux on Windows. So that runs a Linux-like environment inside Windows, and it really is running a Linux-like kernel, so you can actually run like an Ubuntu distribution on it. And that kind of mixes the best of both worlds. I don't have to mess around with my laptop. You can do Linux-like development because, after all, these apps tend to run on a Linux server, right? So how do we do it? You need this thing called Windows Subsystem for Linux. So you can follow along if you like in this card here on Trello. Right, so we've got development environment and video. So we're going to be doing these things. So the Windows subsystem for Linux, I found it's like handy dandy link here. So this is how you make links in Trello, by the way. There you go. So here, you need to check that you've got Windows Subsystem for Linux enabled. So you do that by going to the Windows bar and turn on, turn Windows features on or off. Okay, and we get this box here, and see here they're saying look for the Windows subsystem for Linux. So you go down here, Windows subsystem for Linux, and make that checked, and go OK. Now that sets up Windows so that it can support a Linux environment on Windows, but you don't actually have one yet. Oh gosh, I'll get myself out of the way. There you go. So there's Windows Subsystem for Linux. You're looking for that. Now you go to the Windows Store. And we're looking for Ubuntu. And this is the one here you want, Windows 18.04 LTS. And you can get that. For me, it says this product is installed already, and I can launch it. So you'd want to do that. Hopefully that just works for you. There will probably be some kind of setup. It does describe it a bit more here. If you're looking at this page here, don't worry about the bits where it says Windows Subsystem for Linux version 2. We don't need to do that. 1 is fine for what we're doing. So then I can start it. Yep, whoops. So Ubuntu. And you can see we get up this shell when we start it like so from there. I'm actually auto-loading my SSH key. We'll do a bit about SSH keys sometime later. Not important right now. But we can actually, there's some really simple Linux commands you might want to know. ls is like a listing, shows you what files are in this folder. This tilde here, that means my home directory. If I do pwe print working directory /home/Campbell. Now this is all on the Linux side of the house, right? /home/Campbell. You're not going to find that anywhere in Windows. And so it's actually mounted your Windows side under MNT. So if we go to the root CD current directory, see this is now changed from tilde to slash there. There's a whole heap of Linuxy folders there. The folders are in blue. If we go to MNT, look under here, We've got like C, D, and E. These are drives. So CDC, that's C drive. Now we're on the Windows side, right? So this is looking very, very Windows-ish. Now we can go into users, Campbell, documents, tab completion, by the way, very nice. Um, I store all my source under documents source. So here we go, SGW for Sega Web. Have a look at that. There we go. And there's Minecraft sitting in there. There we go. That's what we would have got from GitHub. That's a long way down the tree. So if I go back to my home folder, there, see, I'm back home. We have a look. ls-l just gives you the long directory. We can see that I've got src, this folder src, pointing to Mount C users Campbell document source. This is called a symbolic link, and you make one of those things with something like ln for link minus s, where you're going to, users slash Campbell slash documents slash source to src, like so. And now I can just go into src, and then we'd be in SGW, CD Minecraft, and here we are. And it's just a shorter path, easier way to get there. So after a while, I like doing a bit of a mixture of command line and GUI. After a while, like command line stuff, you can usually do more. The GUIs don't keep up all the time. Yeah, kind of up to you in a way. But you definitely need to know how to get around in this a little bit. Okay, so take that out of the way. Let's go back and see what we've done. Okay, so we've installed Windows Subsystem for Linux. Check. Okay. You might want to just note the colors here. They all kind of mean something. These are sort of like zip files. Light blue for links, dark blue for folders, that kind of thing. If your colors look really hideously ugly, there's actually a fix for that. But they might have fixed it up by default, but I can't tell because I've had this for a while. But I suspect it comes out okay looking like this now, in which case we're good. All right, so that's noting the colors. We did a bit of a quick get round in the Linux shell. Where does the code live? We looked at that. So even if we go into this PC documents, src, SGW, so you can see it all here on the Windows side. There we go, Minecraft farm. Okay, like so. And you need Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code download, not rocket science this one. Sure. Off you go. Get a handy dandy installer, probably 64-bit. All good. I'll assume you can do that. Right, so we've done that. All good. Yay. Now we've got a bit to set up on the Linux side to get us some apps and coding environments. You know, just the like command line-ish type apps that actually help build the whole thing and or run it. You can certainly do a lot with Visual Studio Code extensions, which we'll create ourselves a checklist for that. Visual Studio Code extensions, can't do much without them, they're extensions. We'll get to that in a bit. But for now, we'll just go on with the Windows Subsystem for Linux setup. I'm not going to set up mine again. I don't want to wreck it. So I've got a different Linux environment, which is brand new. So I'll set that up instead. So the colors will look different, and this window will look different. But don't worry about that too much. Okay. So we'll see if we can go to this shell. Right. Okay. Now so you want to check that there's this thing called the apt. Oh, sorry. We want to get root privileges. Sudo sudo gives you super user things. So sudo -i for interactive, and boom. You can see it's changed from this like dollar to this hash here. That means that we've got superpowers, right? All cool. So apt update. This doesn't actually upgrade. This just gets the list of files that could be upgraded, right? So it has to have a list of all the files that exist. And the whole Linux ecosystem is really cool because you can just go install whatever you want. You don't have to go Googling, searching, downloading. So we'll upgrade our system just in case it's not up to date. Oh, sure, that's not that exciting. Just because that's actually installing the kernel upgrade, which probably wouldn't actually happen on Windows subsystem for Linux. But anyway, that's how you do it. So you just have to wait for that to finish. Okay, it's done. Finally, my goodness. Right, so what have we done so far? We've done this apt update, check, apt upgrade. Right, now we want to install like PHP because we use that on the back end. Very orthodox sort of LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP setup for the back end. Why do we do that in this day of Node? Well, Node isn't really good at running multi-tenant, right? So you can't run it on a shared server, which is obviously really, really cheap. So you need like your own dedicated VM for running Node as the back end. That's kind of pricey. So if we can use PHP, like, because really it's not doing much, right? It's just getting data from the database, sending it back, and going the other way. Very, very lightweight processing, right? So sure, PHP, it's a very small amount of code, so why not? So we need to install that. So let's go do that right now. We need to install PHP, um, MySQL, the Apache web server, and PHP-MyAdmin. Now I've done it this way around because Linux is really good at managing its dependencies. It's one of the things a package manager does is dependencies. So these applications also have dependencies. So if we have a go at installing PHP-MyAdmin, might actually install all the rest up to here at least for us. So let's give it a go. Okay, so here we go. So apt install PHP-MyAdmin. And you can see it's going to install a whole heap of new stuff. And let's just look at this. Oh, it's going to install Apache 2. That's wonderful. It's going to install PHP 7.2, somewhere along the line. That's actually a sub package, but so it must be doing PHP 7.2 itself somewhere. And let's have a look. It's alphabetical order. So MySQL. Yep. Looks like it's going to install MySQL for us. So that's all cool. This sounds very cool. Let's do that then. Yes. Okay, it's asking us some questions. Okay, sure. Apache. Okay, and press tab to highlight the OK. Spacebar, configure. Sure. MySQL application password for. We don't care. Uh, we didn't have one, so just okay. Hmm. Okay. So what we'll do here is, because we're installing PHP MyAdmin, we kind of don't know if we've actually got the MySQL server actually set up yet. So I'm just going to start another shell. That's why we do this. Okay, so here you can see my two shells. So it's interactive. MySQL. Ah. Okay, because it's not running. Okay, well that's an interesting thing. We'll have to ignore that for the moment. Okay, so it's possible that it doesn't depend on. So it doesn't look like we've actually installed MySQL Server, so that's what we're just doing, that apt install MySQL Server. And we'll just go update that in the list of things to do. Add an item, apt install MySQL Server. It was educational. So we want to do that before doing PHP MyAdmin, and it might go a bit better. Yes, please. Sure, you can install MySQL Server or MariaDB. I might actually have MariaDB 10 on the other on my one. Maria is kind of newer. Okay, so let's try this MySQL. Ah, yes. Now we're in. So it would have used us as the root user. We've got no password. Okay. Um, so PHP MyAdmin won't actually work. So just see if apt install PHP MyAdmin. Okay. Okay, so I think you can do this. And that'll, oops, here we go. Yes, please. Unix socket. Yes. 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 Okay. Oh, okay. Can't be blank. I'm just making up one that I know. Typing the same thing twice. Because that is the okay. I think that did it by itself. Just a quick note on that. See, so Debian sysmaint. If you ever get stuck out of a MySQL database, it's handy dandy. They have this like reserved user, and they hide it in here, so you can actually see its password. Boom, right there. So you can always get back in to um, your MySQL database if you get locked out. So the thing is now, if we start up um, uh, PHP my admin, it's um, it's going to ask you for um, a, a user, and we can't do this. Let's go. Oops. See, login without a password is forbidden by configuration. So MySQL. Okay, so we want to grant all privileges to some other user on um, the database here. So just Google MySQL grant all or something like that, and it tells you to grant all privileges on whatever to quote quote whatever at localhost. Cool, and it is actually localhost because it's that's the connection that my PHP my admin is making to the database. They're on the same machine, right? So it'll be localhost. Okie dokie. So get back to my shell. Boom. Where is my shell? Okay. So I go into MySQL, which as root, see, I did it with no password, right? So now we do grant all privileges. Need to be able to read it. On star anything to Alpha Campbell at localhost. Then we have this identified by, which it didn't actually say, identified by, and we'll put some password in here. And so I'll do Campbell23 just to make it different. And have a semicolon at the end. Oh, really? Oh, whoops. I have to type all that again. Copy, paste, identified by. There we go. And then flush privileges, because otherwise it doesn't really know. And we're good to go. So we can actually test it. We can log out of that, Control D. So we can do MySQL with the user Campbell with a password. Enter the password, Campbell23, and I'm in. Right, Control D will exit, or quit, or exit, just to check if I enter the wrong password. No, wrong password. Okay, so that worked to get me in there. Now you should be able to go to PHP admin over here, log in as whatever user you said. Right, and that should be working. Some things that you may have, you might have to do. So I've already got these services working, so you can actually see that they're running, right? So if we have a look at PS, is short for process, AXF, you can see that Apache is actually running, that's the web server, and MySQL is running as well. You might have to scroll up or see where they are. This is all like Linuxy sort of stuff. Okay, might be a little bit different for you on WSL, but that's basically the idea. You should see Apache running and MySQL running. If it's not, you can just type service, or if you're not if you're at a dollar prompt like that, it'd be sudo service MySQL, might be MySQL D, I can't remember. I'll do a restart just to show it. And okay, so it is that one. Okay, sudo apache 2, whoops, sudo service apache 2 restart. And obviously you can do restart, start, and stop. Restart should work even if it's not started. Then you can go PS, AXF shows you all processes. F is like the forest, which is like this kind of thing up there, like so. Right, so we can see we've got SQL that started. and we're good to go. We normally don't need Apache for our dev environment these days because lots of things like Visual Studio Code run their own server, so that's not so bad. Um, but we do need it for PHP MyAdmin. And that's the nicest thing around for sorting out your ordinary old relational database. Okay, so back to our development. Where are we at here? So we've installed MySQL Server, PHP MyAdmin, we've got PHP 2. We can just do a version check on that, just to check that we've got a decent version. So you can just do PHP V, and it says we're running PHP 7.2. So that is for sure good enough. It has to be at least 7.2. And so Ubuntu 18.04 is 7.2. That's what we're running on minecraftfarm.com. So we're all good to go. And we can check. Oh, yes. So another thing you can check is which modules does PHP have installed? Because sometimes you need to install other modules, which are like plugins for PHP. But it comes by default with a pretty good set. So may not have to do that. But for sure, this is not currently loading the debugger. But then again, when we're running it in Visual Code, we don't. Actually, I think we do need to install it. Yeah, you might need to install it. So just add that to the list. Add item PHP 7.2-x debug. So got that. Okay, so we're just adding this to the list. apt install. Okay. So we can actually do this thing called apt cache. I can't honestly quite remember it. Okay. Okay. Now if we do PHP im, we'll see that we've actually got this extra module in here, which we didn't have before. And we've got this. Nano is a really cool editor, just in case it's here. So it's there. Nano Xdebug. It's not a very cool editor, but at least it works. And we've got no configuration. Okay, let's have a look at Campbell's Xdebug configuration. Here's my Windows subsystem for Linux. Okay, so I've got these. They have a reasonably, oh yeah, that's pretty always on. There's lots of subtle things you can do with Xdebug, but that's the minimum you'd need. So get that out of the way. Go back to this guy. Right, so now we've got Xdebug in PHP installed and working. Check PHP version and modules, PHP-v and gem. Right, we'll do the easy thing first. Okay, installing Git. Probably guess how this goes. Apt install git. Sure. Okay, so now we should be able to, git should work. Yes, that looks like it did something. So check off another thing. Okay, now we're up to installing Node. It's a bit of a beast, but again, not as bad as it was. So we're going to install it with NVM, the Node version manager. So you just want to go to this place. Okay, and so we're kind of just going to follow down here. There's some instructions. Okay, so it says to use curl. Do we even have curl? Nope, but helpfully tells us what to do about it. Apt install curl. There we go. wget is actually normally better, and it's, yeah, and wget was installed by default. So just copy that. I'll get back into my home directory before I run this. So see, yeah, the working directory there, by the way, is /root. And I might have wanted to do that as a non-root user. Okay. So yeah. Dink. Oops. So I actually want to do this as a non-root user. Yeah, so now you see it's doing it in my home thing there. I want to do this right now. I would suggest you just, I would suggest that you don't try and do it now, that you just like shut down all your terminals and start them up again, and it should actually just work for you. But here I should have NVM. Okay. Now I'm actually running, so NVM install 12.14.0, I think is the latest 12 series stable one. And off it goes and does its thing. Yeah, yay. Now we'll go have a look at the Visual Code extensions. All right, so extensions are this beastie here in Visual Code. So just have a look and see here what we've got installed. Debugger for Chrome. So you'll want to go install that. I don't think you really want that one. You don't really need these remote SSH ones. You do need remote WSL. You for sure need that. You need that. Debugger for Chrome. Git graph is fantastic. Git lens is really not necessary. It's a bit complex, so I would avoid that. PHP debug, you definitely want that. And PHP IntelliSense, you definitely want that. And Vue, you also definitely want that. So this is for Vue tooling, right? So that's what you want. And now you'll notice there's a difference between local and WSL, right? So when you're in WSL, you can go to source. So if you've got some code or something, we'll go to the front end. You can go code dot on the Linux side, and it'll start it up in WSL. So you should actually see this WSL saying that this is actually Linux side code. So you don't actually want to open the project on Windows side. You want to open it on Linux side using the Linux tooling and the Linux node tooling. Otherwise, you'll just be battling Linux tools trying to run on Windows as Windows, and it's just a nightmare usually. So WSL for the win, I say. Right. And so here again, git graph, yes. That was kind of nice. Yeah, not so sure. Live server, it's very nice to have. Again, not necessary, but it gives you this go live. It's really good for looking at static sites. PHP debug, yes. Not I don't think I meant to use that one. I'm pretty sure I meant to use that one, the Felix Becker ones. SQL tools, kind of handy. You do want that one. And Vita. So there you go. So install those, and you should have a pretty decent dev environment up and running. Right. Next video, I'll actually show you how to use it. I'll go and add some of these to the Trello card. Right, so there we go. That was the really pretty quick and speedy introduction to getting a dev environment up and running. Hopefully it doesn't take you much longer than that. Hope it works out.